This has actually been hilarious to watch. I don't like. This is two MSNBC videos in a row. That's the most MSNBC I've ever watched my entire life. But this dude apparently, Lawrence, is it O'Donnell? Lawrence O'Donnell, right? This motherfucker has been just like dropping like straight up fire diatribes on Trump, and I didn't even know about this. I didn't know that this dude was a killer. I didn't know he was going that hard. All right. Like Lawrence right here has been talking mad shit. And I'm going to tell you, when I looked at this dude, I didn't think that's what this dude did. I was surprised. Now, I haven't watched this one, so this might be a little less amazing, but the ones I watched were amazing. But it goes along with what I was just saying. And it says, Donald Trump doesn't want us to talk about Jeffrey Epstein's email, so we will. So, like, this goes along with what I'm saying. I know a lot of people want me to talk about the other shit, the Kirk shit and all that stuff, but this is what Donald Trump doesn't want me and you to talk about, so this is what we're going to talk. They want you talking about Charlie Kirk. They want you talking about whether or not the murderer was this or that or this. The last thing they want you to be talking about is the shit that actually matters in this country, and that is ran by a bunch of motherfuckers that have done fucked up stuff to people, and those people have been getting away with it for years, and they're using their own dude's death to distract you from the fact that this is going on, and that just shows morally how low of human beings these people are.
You said this hour will not be what Donald Trump wants it to be. It will not be a discussion of Donald Trump's pathological lie that liberals are to blame for the murder of Charlie Cook. Donald Trump knows that's a lie, and he is pushing that lie in the hope that programs like this will be filled with anguished complaint.
See, this is what I'm saying. Like, actually, he like I said, did not pre-watch. The dude's on the right path. Like, liberals need to do this. I mean, look, content creators right now are just feeding off of this, right? They're feeding off the frenzy. And I do think that some people should be covering it. Just to be completely 100% honest, I do think that some people should be covering these topics, because it's important to fight back against misinformation that is coming from the other side. But not everybody should be just talking about this shit. So I'm with Lawrence here.
About this Trump mass libel
Angela.
Of half of America. Donald Trump is the only president of the United States who has ever blamed a murder on millions of voters who did not vote for him.
Dude, that's I bet that's 100% legit. I bet you can look that up. There's probably not Bush, not Reagan, not Obama, not Clinton. Donald Trump is probably the first president ever. Didn't Reagan get shot? I bet you Reagan didn't even blame the other side. That's crazy.
Trump knows that the 22-year-old Utah man accused of the murder grew up in a family of registered Republican parents who Donald Trump has now praised repeatedly. Today, Donald Trump said that the accused murderer's parents did everything right. Parents
Okay.
who can think, of course, that they've done everything right are not parents I've met.
Yeah, exactly.
Parents whose kids end up facing murder charges surely
generally we
can
think we might
wonder
have fucked
from
up
time to time what they might have gotten wrong. And so Donald Trump insults the intelligence of the entire country, including his own supporters, when he launches this mass libel of half the country. The 20-year-old man in Pennsylvania who shot at Donald Trump was a registered Republican. And the 22-year-old Utah man accused of murdering Charlie Cook has never voted. The single most murderous American political assassin was a registered Republican. And he is the only American political assassin who murdered more than one person. Timothy McVeigh was a veteran of the United States Army who, at 26 years old, in an instant, murdered 168 people in the federal building.
Dude, and the conservatives right now that are mad about Charlie Kirk, 100%, I guarantee you, celebrate Timothy McVeigh. How much you want to make a fucking bet? They're like, yeah, he was fighting against the government. Timothy McVeigh didn't do anything wrong. Bet you money. These people think that Timothy McVeigh was in the right. How much you want to make a bet? Dude. Fantradet, thank you for the $5. It doesn't matter if the left wasn't responsible. They're going to force it on us anyway. We might as well accept the role and stand up to them. Like I said, I don't even think you should be engaging in that conversation. Like, if you... We are, what, a week into the investigation? Like, the idea that everybody knows everything about this is just fucking insane. And watching just the news cycle just, like, pumping out, like, misinformation, disinformation, half-ass information, like, it's insane to watch. And, you know, like I said, I don't think that one side or the other side is better morally about the way that they cover it, because a lot of this is just for money. Like, people think it's left and right, but a lot of it is just grift. A lot of it is just money. And, you know, at the end of the day, it seems like that kid at one point or another was a groiper. Whether or not that influenced him to do what he did, like, you don't know. Like, it's going to be a long time before a lot of that shit comes to light, or if it ever comes to light. Like, a lot of these kids, that kid that he was talking about, the first kid, Thomas Crooks, that shot at Trump, allegedly. I'm going to say allegedly to that, too. He had a similar background in the way that it seemed like he was very nihilistic, that he was very upset with life, that he had no purpose. Like, there's a bigger story that should be covered here that nobody, I think, wants to cover. And that is that young people don't have any hope, any purpose in their lives. That we, the older generation, have failed them and have given them nothing to look forward to. That the adults in the room are busy fucking monetizing polarization. Like, that's probably the real story that should be covered. He grew up in a MAGA conservative household. I'm sure his dad didn't do anything but talk about Donald Trump all the fucking time. It's like we're creating this fucking environment for young people that eventually is going to lead to a lot of violence from them, because they don't have any reason not to do it, because we're not giving them any hope. We're not giving them any prospects. I just think, you know, when you say that you might as well accept it, I think that that's part of it, is just to say, okay, like, take the right, for instance, when that guy took out Melissa Hortman and her husband, another fucking tragedy. They didn't give two shits. They don't care. You can literally be like, look, this guy's a registered Republican. He voted all this time for Trump. Like, they just don't care. They just act like it never even happened. They just move on. And to be honest, that's pretty much what liberals need to do as well. People on the left should look at what's going on. They should fight the disinformation by producing information that conflicts it or proves it wrong. And then they should just move on. Just like the right does. Thank you for the 10 memberships there, What the Fuck Dad Shoes. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. $5 from Fan. Germans who weren't Nazis said the same thing. If you never stand up to them, well, you get the same consequences the Germans did. Yeah, 100%. Well, if you don't stand up to them. But that's such a complex thing to say, because standing up to what's going on right now is going to take many different things. Like, you can't just say, you know, oh, we should do X and that's how we're going to win this. Like, that's my problem with almost everything in politics, is this reductive nature of the way that we have conversations, that it's all going to come down to this, like, one way of doing things, and that way is going to lead to the path to the most success. I just don't believe that. I believe that there's a lot of different ways that people should go about this. That's the exact reason why I'm saying, even though I disagree with the fact that people are doing this as performative news, trying to make money off of it and stuff like that, I do believe that certain people should be covering it. Just like when it comes to like the Palestine-Israel conflict, I don't think every single fucking YouTuber should be covering that. I don't. Like, you know, a lot of you guys are going to be like, no, like everybody needs to be talking about this. No, the legit people that understand the situation, that have the most information, the best understanding of the conflict, those people should be doing that work. Because while that conflict is going on over there, we ourselves are having a legit fucking existential crisis in America. And if we're paying attention to everybody is just covering that conflict rather than covering what's going on here, then you're taking care of one problem but letting another fester. There's a fuck ton of us out there, and we should be doing this in a way that maybe it isn't exactly like connected, but that helps each other. So like, for me, I would rather see somebody that is much better at speaking to the topic of Israel and Gaza than I am doing that work. Why would I be the person taking up that time? Why would I want you to come watch me talk about it when there are better people out there to listen to? I would much rather that you listen to a person that has real good information on the Palestine-Gaza conflict or Palestine-Israel conflict than me. I do not have a very good education on it. And I prefer to cover topics here in America, like what is going economically. That's kind of my wheelhouse. And, you know, how Trump is doing this stuff and with the Epstein files and stuff like that. Like, I don't think that we can just say there's no path to success, just less bad choices. See, reductive. Too reductive for me, fan. Too reductive!
In Oklahoma City, Oklahoma in 1995.
I just think that's just too
registered
reductive.
Republican Timothy
McVeigh
attacked the federal building specifically to assassinate federal workers for his twisted right-wing political reasons. Registered Republican Timothy McVeigh came to hate the government in whose army he served. Timothy McVeigh murdered 19 children in the daycare center of that federal building in an instant by blowing up that building with a truck bomb. Registered Republican Timothy McVeigh's assassination target that day was all the federal workers in that building, and he didn't care who else would have to die in the process.
And here's the crazy thing is, back then, it didn't matter what political party, like, you thought this was bad. Republicans thought this was bad. Democrats thought this was bad. It was only like the conspiracy-driven people that celebrated this type of shit. And those conspiracy-driven people now are the right. They are the MAGA Republicans. And it's the same reason that you see the type of discussion on the right that doesn't demonize a figure like Timothy McVeigh.
That's how far Timothy McVeigh's insane right-wing ideology drove him. And Donald Trump had nothing to say about that. In 1995, Donald Trump could pick up the phone and get himself quoted in the New York tabloid newspapers whenever he wanted to. He could get himself booked on TV chat shows and say whatever he wanted to say. He could take out full-page ads in the New York Times and condemn people, as he had already done at that time, demanding the death penalty.
Yep.
In one case,
that was with the Central Park 5, right?
For people who he wrongly believed were guilty of raping a woman in Central Park. There was no full-page ad by Donald Trump about Timothy.
Yeah, I know about Timothy McVeigh being at Ruby Ridge. He was at Waco. Is that what you're talking about? Waco? Yeah, Ruby Ridge was Waco, right? Yeah, he was there when the Branch Davidians, when the building burned down.
Timothy McVeigh. Donald Trump didn't blame the Republican Party for what Timothy McVeigh did. No one blamed Republicans for what Timothy McVeigh did. There was no internet to blame yet, no social media for to blame for poisoning Timothy McVeigh's mind. And it never crossed any politician's mind to blame millions of people.
Now, was Ruby Ridge different? Am I fucking that up? I know he was at Waco because I just watched that. Oh, yeah, this was the cabin. Okay. Ruby Ridge standoff was the siege of a cabin occupied by the Weaver family in Boundary County, Idaho, in August 1992. On August 21st, deputies of the United States Marshal Services came to arrest Randy Weaver under a bench warrant for his failure to appear on federal firearms charges after he was given the wrong court date. Okay. No, I was talking about Waco. He was at Waco too, but I don't know if he was there too. He was literally following around places. You can watch the Netflix documentary on Waco, Texas, the Branch Davidians. And there's actually video footage in that documentary of Timothy McVeigh out next to his car because they had all the news people lined up on the street outside of the compound, and Timothy McVeigh showed up to that.
Who never met Timothy McVeigh. That is Donald Trump's uniquely perverse contribution to the aftermath of a public murder. What Donald Trump wants is agreement from his supporters and outrage from the millions of people he is libelously accusing of inciting murder.
It's exactly what he wants, yeah.
Because that means that we will not be covering the very bad news that continues to mount for Donald Trump, including headlines like this one in today's Wall Street Journal right there. Putin, Netanyahu march on with Trump on the sidelines. That is a very, very important headline for the world and a very bad headline for Donald Trump. Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu proving every day how irrelevant Donald Trump is.
I was just saying today, I was like, it's like Benjamin Netanyahu and Vladimir Putin are playing tug of war with Donald Trump's nutsack. Like, that's like the mental picture I get when I think about it. It's like, Donald Trump reminds me of the type of guy that walks around like bullying people that are weaker than him. And then like Putin's the guy that shows up and all of a sudden Donald Trump's like the nicest guy ever. He's like, oh, hey, just out here just doing things. What's going on? What's up with you? No, of course not. I wasn't doing anything that would make you upset. Like all of this shit with the drones in Poland where he's like, it turns out it was a mistake. Like, Vladimir Putin is fucking dog walking Donald Trump. And so is Netanyahu. Netanyahu and Putin are dog walking Donald Trump. And it kind of actually makes me understand kind of where MAGA is at better mentally. Because I know that they're watching Donald Trump get dog walked by those two people. And it's like watching like your favorite UFC fighter that's like well past his prime and you're just making up excuses. You're like, he kind of won that round. Actually, you know, he did land, like he didn't land more punches, but he landed the harder punches for sure. Like, oh, the referees or this referee is like totally letting the other guy get away with a lot. Like, that's what I think of when I see MAGA not criticizing Donald Trump for what they should rightfully be criticizing him for, and that is being a punk for fucking Vladimir Putin and Bibi Netanyahu. Like, that's, in my opinion, it's just one more thing that just like boggles my mind that you can watch Trump supporters that claim that Trump is such a hard ass dude say 2 weeks over and over and over again. It's crazy.
To their calculations about what they will do next. Remember Donald Trump's pointless trip to Alaska to welcome Vladimir Putin into the United States? Donald Trump said he would give Vladimir Putin 2 weeks after that to reach a peace agreement with Ukraine. And Vladimir Putin has continued his savage attacks on Ukraine and humiliated Donald Trump even more than he was before by sending Russian drones into NATO territory in Poland. And Donald Trump says nothing. Donald Trump just says libelous things.
He said, here we go.
About other people being to blame for the murder of Charlie Kirk. Donald Trump just wants to get half the country outraged at the other half of this country.
Yep.
And Donald Trump doesn't want
Just to
anyone in
distract
this
you.
country to be outraged at Vladimir Putin. The other bad news for Donald Trump includes a federal court tonight finding his attempt to fire a member of the Federal Reserve Board to be completely and obviously illegal. And so Lisa Cook will show up for tomorrow's meeting at the Federal Reserve because she's still a member and she knows that. And Donald Trump really doesn't want you to know what's in the emails in the Epstein files.
Yep.
Our first guest tonight has been studying the emails in the Epstein files. Jason Leopold at Bloomberg reports the emails, part of a cache of more than 18,000 obtained by Bloomberg News, show that Maxwell and Epstein were closer in many respects than either publicly admitted. Maxwell opened at least one foreign bank account using one of his addresses, was a named director on one of Epstein's main revenue-generating companies, and traded stock in a company they were both invested in, details that haven't been previously reported.
It's crazy that
the details in these emails
this.
show Ghislaine Maxwell lied to federal agents, which is the criminal equivalent of perjury when Donald Trump's former criminal defense lawyer, now Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, went to Florida last month to have a friendly chat with Ghislaine Maxwell. On the recorded portion of their conversation, and we don't know how much was said when the recording wasn't on, but on the recorded portion of the conversation, which has been made public, Todd Blanche warned Ghislaine Maxwell that it would be a crime for her to lie to them in that conversation, but she did lie to them anyway.
Yeah, because she already in jail, dog. She gonna be there for a long fucking time if she don't get a pardon. Like, she is not at all. I bet you money that they're gonna commute her sentence, but they're not gonna do it in a way that it looks like they commuted her sentence. She's gonna just get out for fucking good behavior. That's what it's gonna be. Like, that is what is going to happen. They are just going to commute the sentence in a very, like, roundabout way. All of a sudden, Ghislaine Maxwell is going to be a star prisoner, and she's going to be allowed out early. That's what's going to happen, and ain't nobody going to prosecute her for lying during that fucking deposition. There's no way. Because they're all in on it. They're all connected. They're all a part of it.
Donald Trump doesn't want you to know that. Donald Trump did her the immediate favor of moving her to an easy, relaxed camp from the federal prison that she was in. And so Donald Trump doesn't want you to see the evidence of her perjury in these emails tonight that Bloomberg has obtained. Donald Trump wants to think about the possibility of releasing her from prison someday, and so he doesn't want any of this information out there. And Donald Trump is not going to prosecute her for the perjury that she committed in her conversation with Todd Blanche. And it is Donald Trump who decides who gets prosecuted by the Trump Justice Department. Bloomberg reports that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, quote, discussed undergoing a shared fertility procedure long after Maxwell claims she largely...
That was tough to read. I don't know if you guys watched that video. God, that was tough to read.
disassociated from him. They corresponded about discrediting women who raised allegations against them, including in one exchange where Maxwell said she planned to circulate compromising information on one of Epstein's sexual abuse victims. Maxwell has maintained she was kept in the dark about details of Epstein's initial sexual abuse case in the mid-2000s, yet the emails demonstrate...
Bullshit. She participated. Like, I don't have to say allegedly did that. She participated. She was convicted. She is a criminal. Like, the number of Epstein victims that have spoken out and said that Ghislaine Maxwell wasn't just a person that helped Epstein get these women, that she's also a person that abused these women. Like, it's insane to think that anybody out there with any amount of empathy at all for another human being could look at these victims and be like, they're obviously lying. What did they get out of it? What for? They got for the rest of their life to be seen as assault victims. Is that a positive? Because I don't think it is. What did that do to their personal life, to their careers? It's fucking crazy.
Demonstrate her deep knowledge of the legal jeopardy he faced and show how she helped him strategize over even the most consequential details. Ghislaine Maxwell advised Jeffrey Epstein on the plea deal that he made in 2008 that instead of imprisoning Jeffrey Epstein as a sex trafficker and raper of children, allowed Jeffrey Epstein to continue to roam free and rape more children.
Yep.
Bloomberg reports Epstein wrote to Maxwell on May 23rd, 2008. Which one do you prefer, lewd and lascivious conduct or procuring minors for prostitution? At the time, he and his star-studded team of defense lawyers were closing in on a generous plea deal with federal and state officials in Florida, and Epstein was trying to negotiate the state charges to which he'd pleaded guilty. Maxwell's response was matter of fact. I suppose lewd and lascivious conduct. I would prefer lewd and lascivious conduct with a prostitute, if possible. That is the sex trafficking convicted criminal Ghislaine Maxwell advising Jeffrey Epstein about how to deal with his first round of criminal charges before she herself was convicted of sex trafficking and sentenced to 20 years in prison, which Donald Trump has now made a much lighter sentence by moving her to a much more pleasant surrounding and no doubt planning to release her from prison as a reward after the next presidential election, when Donald Trump's pardon spree will surely be something to behold. The federal prosecutor who knows...
Oh, that's a great point. Oh my God. On his way out the door. Oh my God. I didn't even think about that. Oh, dude. And we're only like fucking 6-7 months into this? 8 months. 8 months into this? We're 8 months into this, and there's still 3.5 years, three and a quarter years. And then the pardon spree that's going to happen on his way out the door. Good God, it's going to make this first 8 months of pardons look like crazy. Donald Trump on his way out the door is going to make billions of dollars off of pardons. I'm going to just say that right now. Like, when that shit happens, bookmark this shit. Donald Trump's going to make billions off of fucking pardons on his way out the door.
More about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell than any other prosecutor in history was fired by Donald Trump and his Justice Department. Today, that fired prosecutor, Maureen Comey, sued Donald Trump for the...
Yeah, they fired the woman that prosecuted Epstein. How do MAGA Trump people make this okay? How do they do that? The fucking person that prosecuted him, they fired her. And you're okay with that? Like, that's so insane.
Illegal firing, saying in her lawsuits against Donald Trump, defendants have not provided any explanation whatsoever for terminating Ms. Comey. In truth, there is no legitimate explanation. Rather, defendants fired Ms. Comey solely or substantially because her father is former FBI Director James Comey, or because of her perceived political affiliation and beliefs, or both. The politically motivated termination of Ms.
Comey, who literally fucking destroyed Hillary Clinton's chances of getting elected. Like, Donald Trump should be putting up statues of fucking James Comey, dude. Donald Trump should be fucking giving James Comey hand jobs for the rest of James Comey's life, which I've heard is not going to be much longer. I'm sorry, James Comey. That's insane. It's insane. That's how petty this motherfucker is. He's so petty that the dude that helped him win the first election, he fired his daughter. That's crazy.
Comey, ostensibly under Article 2 of the Constitution, upends bedrock principles of our democracy and justice system. In her lawsuit, Maureen Comey said she was asked to join the prosecution team of a major public corruption case on July 15th. So obviously she was a prosecutor in good standing in the Justice Department on July 15th, but the next day, July 16th, she was fired. And the day after that, July 17th, the Wall Street Journal broke the story about the Epstein birthday book that includes a birthday letter from Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein with Donald Trump's signature on the letter.
I like that they say that that's not his signature, even though there's tons of fucking documents that are proving that, yes, it is his signature. But why the fuck would somebody fake a document from Donald Trump and then not copy his signature? Like, it's 2025. If they had wanted to copy the signature, they would copy the signature that he has now, not the one that he had used previously. Like, this is how dumb all this shit is if this was fake, they wouldn't use a signature that he would deny. If it was fake, they would have just fucking copied over his current signature onto this one and been like, see, it's him, there's his signature. But we all know this is his signature because at least I don't know if you guys have seen, there's a bunch of documents that he has signed with this specific signature. And as many people do, he changed his signature over time to the one that you see now. But once again,
I love the poorly educated.
And it appears to be exactly the same one-word Donald signature that I got on the one note that I ever received from Donald Trump in 2016.
There you go. The dude has one. The fucking guy that's telling this story right now. Yeah, exactly. DJ, right there. There you go. There it is. There it is. Like, this is how dumb this fucking timeline is you can show this shit to people. So it's like, okay, so it doesn't exist. That was the first thing. The letter doesn't exist. Okay, so then it's like, yeah, actually the letter does exist, but Donald Trump definitely didn't sign that shit. Okay. Then they show that not only the book does exist, but also Donald Trump did sign it. And then they say, oh, that's not Donald's signature. So then they show that it is Donald's signature. And then they say, oh, like it's not his signature. We're just not going to look at it anymore. That's how dumb this timeline is. It's fucking crazy.
Today, more than 20 Epstein and Maxwell survivors, including many who spoke publicly at the Capitol 2 weeks ago, are urging members of the Republican Women's Caucus to, quote, stand up against abuse of power and to take action to end the silence and speculation. In a letter obtained by ABC News to the caucus chairs, Republican Congresswoman Kat Cammack and Senator Katie Britt, the survivors requested a meeting with the Republican Women's Caucus. Their letter to the Republican women says, we are mothers, daughters, sisters, friends, and wives. We have sought justice for decades to no avail. We have denied the basic rights that should be afforded to every American citizen time and time again. The fact that it took this long for anyone to care about us is a true American tragedy.
Yeah, and that goes for everybody. That's not pointed at one side or the other. Like I said, like any and every administration that hasn't helped these women find justice is accountable for this shit. Like I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
We stand together in pain and resilience, and we are asking for your help. We have a right to feel safe in this country. We have a right to know why a serial sexual predator was treated with more humanity than we have ever experienced from our own government. Remind us that America is a country that we thought it was when we were little girls, before we were let down repeatedly by our own government.
That is so fucking sad, man. And right now, Trump supporters are queuing up the victim blaming. Right now, Trump supporters are queuing up the crisis actors talk. Whether it's children being mowed down in schools or women being abused by powerful people in our government, these people are going to continue to defend them and to attack the survivors and the victims of these types of things. Whether it's school shootings or whether it's women being harmed, they are currently queuing up the excuses that these women are not survivors. They were not assaulted. These are all lies, and Donald Trump and the rest of his friends are being targeted by spiteful women that are looking to make money off of the backs of hardworking men in America. That's so fucking sad. And if that doesn't get to you, if it doesn't make you feel like this is fucking bullshit, like, then you're not a human being, man. Like, you're not a good person. You might be a human being, but you're not a good person. Like, you have no moral foundation to stand on when you blame the survivors of assault. And that's what they're about to do. Because it's the last ditch. You've dug as many trenches as you can and you're backed up to the beach. The last fucking place that they will dig and they will defend will be that they say that these women are liars and that this never actually happened to them. The very same people that called for justice for them will then change their entire story, all because they are brainwashed by the least fucking moral human being in this country. That's sad. Wow. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and check out that video on the screen now.